Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's September the 26th, 2023. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again this morning by Izubee Charles and Stephen Wagner as we discuss the news of the day. And guys, the news of the day begins with the head coach, Mario Cristobal, waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning like he always does. And instead of going into the office, this time he headed out to the airport and took a flight across the country, landed in Las Vegas about, it probably would have been, I'd say about 8 o'clock local time out there in Las Vegas, and beelines it over to Bishop Gorman High School, where he went to do a little recruiting, and that means he went to go see tight end commit Elijah Lofton. And guys, this is the start of a week of intense recruiting like we talked about, and they are trying to see this week as many of their committed prospects as they can. It starts with Mario here yesterday, going to see Elijah Lofton before heading out to look at some uncommitted prospects out in California. But just checking up on everybody, making sure that they know they're still loved, that they're still good, and shoring up what's there of the recruiting class. So we wrote about a couple of these visits. The first was this Elijah Lofton visit. So let's talk about that one first. Stephen, how significant do you think it is here? We're in late September. Signing day is still almost 3 months away. But this is an opportunity with an open week to kind of just re-solidify the relationships that they've already built with the coaches at these high schools where their committed players are playing, check up on the kids, kind of reaffirm that they're taking the right guys in the class, take a look, a little bit of game film maybe of what these guys have done so far this season. Your thoughts just on how significant this is to the entire puzzle of the 2024 recruiting class?
Yeah, really, I think that Miami's bye week ended up coming at a very, very good time in the season, because this is going to be the moment where we start to see some of these other schools, including Miami, start to push for a couple of these 2024 prospects that they've maybe had their eye on, that they're trying to steal away from another program. You know, I think that this is kind of the moment where we really see a lot of these programs kind of turn up the heat in recruiting, so to speak, especially whenever you consider that in terms of game visits, October is really going to be like whenever a lot of the quality game visits are taking place. You're getting a lot of schools with their conference openers. You're going to be getting a lot of schools with a lot of marquee games and a lot of really, really good opportunities to get some committed kids out to campus. And so I think this is a really, really good opportunity for Cristobal and really all of Miami staff to be able to get out on the road, see their committed recruits, and just really shore things up, make sure everything is what they thought it was, make sure that the kids are still in the same place that they originally planned to be, and just really kind of, I think, be able to get everyone to take a collective breath and just double check everything and make sure, yeah, we are in as good a spot as we thought we were.
All right, Izubee, you spoke to the folks out at Gorman after Mario's visit there. Tell us a little bit about the impressions that you walked away from on Mario's visit there yesterday morning.
Yeah, so yesterday Mario was there bright and early at Bishop Gorman, like you mentioned, 8 o'clock local time, and he pretty much went over there, spoke with Elijah Lofton, spoke with a couple other guys in that 2025 class and 2026 class that Gorman has, and just kind of rekindled a connection that he's built over there at his time in Oregon with their the head coach Brent Browner, kind of just talking about Elijah Lofton a little bit, talking about the program in itself, and kind of talking about Cyrus Moss too. Cyrus Moss is a guy that played at Bishop Gorman And when I spoke with their head coach, Brett Browner, he was just telling me about, he feels comfortable sending his players to Miami to play for a guy like Mario Cristobal, a guy that over time, when he was at Oregon, he's been the same since he left. And now he's at Miami. He's coming back, showing love to a powerhouse program out in the West Coast. So I feel like Mario kind of went over there just to, tighten up some screws and make sure everything's, looking good with the Elijah Lofton situation and all those other talented guys at Bishop Gorman. When I was thinking about, this week, I feel like I was going to use an analogy like, you're building an IKEA, desk or something. You're just going back around after you finish building the structures. You're tightening up those screws, giving it one or two more twists to make sure that structure's stable and steady. So I feel like this week is their IKEA week when they're going around the country, tightening up the screws and making sure that structure stays up for that 2024 class and beyond.
I like that analogy, but I got news for you. Mario's not shopping at IKEA, not for himself, not for recruits. Mario's not going anywhere near IKEA. Think Artefacto. Think the Design Center of Fort Lauderdale. Think anywhere where the high-end merchandise is. Maybe that's where you'll see Mario Cristobal shopping, not at IKEA. But but you get an A for effort. I like the tightening the screws part of that analogy, because that is kind of what he's doing. He's tightening screws. He's making sure that the relationships are rock solid. And I really liked what Bishop Gorman head coach Brent Browner had to say to you when you spoke to him afterwards, because it kind of gave us a glimpse at the impact of Mario Cristobal, the recruiter, how down to earth he presents, how genuine he presents. And, when you see that, it just shows why he has been so successful as a recruiter throughout his career. So Cristobal was not obviously on every trip. The Miami staff is out also visiting different kids. And another one that they went to go see was in Georgia, Moultrie, Colquitt County, 4-star 2024 wide receiver, Nycar. And Nycar decommitted from Georgia in the last, 48 hours or so. And Miami is moving hard on him. He's a very special talent. Stephen, you spoke to some people out there at Colquitt after Mario's visit there. Give us a little bit of synopsis of what you walked away from after doing so.
Yeah, so Nycar was not a name that we heard a ton about in Miami recruiting circles, really leading up to his Georgia decommitment. So initially, whenever he decommitted from Georgia, and all of a sudden a lot of people are reporting that Miami is a school to watch for Nycar. We were naturally very, very curious about this kid and did a little bit of digging, and that is absolutely the case. Miami is absolutely after Nycar, and Miami is absolutely in it for him. I think Miami is in a really, really good position for this guy, but that Miami's not exactly without their competition. Florida State's after him. Auburn's after him. Florida's after him. Georgia is still working to recruit him. We do know that Nye is going to get down to Miami for a game day visit in what's already shaping up like it's going to be a really, really big recruiting weekend. October 7th, I believe, the weekend that Miami plays their ACC home opener against Georgia Tech. So that'll be a really big game, both on and off the field. It's already looking like. And I think it's hard not to be optimistic about the direction that things are trending for Miami at the moment. I mean, that was just kind of like a name that just kept on popping up whenever I talked to some people in these circles. It's Miami, 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 Miami. And yeah, he is also getting out to Auburn this weekend, and he has some other schools that he wants to visit as well. But really, Miami is in an incredibly strong position for him at the moment. And I think, like I said a second ago, if you're a Miami fan, it's hard not to be very, very optimistic about just where things stand for Nye.
Yeah, so we have a story on the visit. We also have a story with the recruiting analysts from all the different schools that Nycar is considering, weighing in on his recruitment and where they feel their schools stand in it. So make sure you check that out. Stephen was included, obviously, in that story, commenting from the Miami standpoint. So real interesting how much attention and quality schools that NICAR has recruiting him. And that's a name that I think you'll be hearing quite a bit from in the coming days, maybe weeks. So Mario continued on. He went out to California, Southern California, and did a little recruiting there to check in on Aiden Breland, the defensive lineman that Miami wants very badly, that they're battling Oregon for now. Might have made a couple other visits too. We're still trying to track those for you guys as we wake up this morning. Another guy out in California that Miami has been recruiting really, really hard is JUCO cornerback Sion Lalea. He's from San Mateo, California. A lot of people are calling him one of the top junior college prospects in the country. Miami has been pursuing this one for months. He's got an October 8th decision date upon us. Izubee, you spoke to him in the last day or so. Give us an update on where you think things stand with Sion.
Yeah, so with him, it's coming down to Miami, USC, and Oregon with his decision. He's going to announce on October 8th, which is his birthday, which is also the day after Miami's ACC home opener against Georgia Tech on October 7th. And I pretty much talked to him about, where his head's at, what he's thinking, what's kind of the big thing that he's going to lean on when making that decision. And his, biggest priority we're looking into a school was a real genuine family feel and development. Those are the two things that he wants to see the most. And I feel like Miami kind of has a little bit of an advantage with the family part because his former teammate, Demetrius Free, who was now at Miami, they played together at San Mateo. They were roommates. They're best friends. He tells me all the time how, Meach tells him, Miami's amazing. You'd fit in perfect here and all that good stuff. And another thing with him, too, is development. He's a junior college guy that's only going to have about 2 years in college left before he goes off, to professional NFL, wherever that may be. And he wants to go into a program and make an immediate impact. And that's something that Mario Cristobal is kind of selling to him. Hey, come in. You're going to be that cornerback on one side, lock down one side of the field, have that island. Maybe a year, maybe it's 2 years a year, and then you're off to the NFL, in and out like that. And that's something that he loves to hear. It's kind of interesting because when I asked him, who you've spoken to the most throughout this process, usually with a defensive back, it's Coach Adai leading the way with that. But Mario Cristobal is on the forefront with this recruitment, talking to him every day, just, little conversations, talking about recruitment, talking about how to fit in the program and all that good stuff. So I feel like it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes, in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Obviously, since he plays junior college football, he plays on Saturday, so he won't be able to take a game day visit anywhere else. So the visits are done. He last visited in July. So that's kind of the last time he got to South Miami with his family. And they left a good impression, on that July visit. I believe it was to the barbecue at the end of July. So it's going to be very interesting to see, where this comes down to at the end of the day. I like where Miami stands right now currently with the Freeney connection. And Mario Cristobal and the Hurricanes were one of the first teams to offer him when he kind of blew up on the scene in March. Alonzo Highsmith was the one that actually offered him. And they've been involved. Everyone's been involved in this recruitment. So I feel like Miami's kind of putting that full court press and putting all their marbles in this basket. And I feel like he can, if he eventually does commit to Miami, he can, come and be that impact player next year when he steps on campus. So a really good prospect and a guy that Miami's put, a lot of effort in.
All right. So we also have a story on a 4-star tight end by the name of Brock Schott, who Miami's been recruiting, and we bring you an update on him. Make sure you check that one out as well. But a couple other things I wanted to talk about this that we have going on the website. Matt Shodell has been locked in the film room and has been popping out these analyses that you're seeing on the site, and we've had a couple of them here that are on the site right now that you guys can check out. We have the first one we actually put out late yesterday, and that was a look at how Miami's remaining opponents are showing signs that the Miami Hurricanes offense can keep flying high. And very interesting. If you look at the defenses that Miami has ahead, Georgia Tech ranks number 99 in the nation, North Carolina number 55, Clemson number 56, Virginia number 124, NC State number 54, Florida State number 56. Louisville, believe it or not, is the best defense Miami still has left to face based on the first third of the season. They're number 39 in the nation in scoring defense. And then Boston College, number 118 in scoring defense. And if you look at total defense, only Clemson is really very high ranked. So the bottom line here, guys, is that Miami has a lot of opportunity this season to do something very special. And there's not going to be a game left on the schedule that they are not going to have a chance to be competitive in. And, as you look around college football, Izubee, and look at all these teams, I mean, yeah, there's a couple that look like they're at another level. Certainly Georgia. I'd say Michigan is right there and in that kind of class. Alabama had a big victory this week over Ole Miss. That they're going to be plenty good. And I still think, even though Clemson has 2 losses, you look at them having the number 8 defense in the country in total defense. They're going to be a threat to Miami. But the point I'm making is Miami's got a lot of opportunity here this season. Your thoughts just on that, based on the fact that the data is showing that is not just a flippant thought. Like the Miami's got some really good chances to win a lot of these games in the second 2/3 of the season.
Yeah, they say, numbers don't lie. When you take a look at those numbers, Max Dell did a great job with all that. You see, okay, maybe Miami has a chance. The offense is rolling. These defense kind of look a little suspect. Just a little bit, you watch Florida State, people kind of transfers, they're going to be so good. Jared Verse, Cypress from Virginia coming in defensive back and all this good stuff. It's just like, all right, on paper, these guys look mighty fine, but you turn on the tape, Boston College kind of made them look a little bit suspect in the secondary up front, all that good stuff. You look at Clemson, what Duke did with them, ran all over them. You look at North Carolina, they've never had a solid defense. Obviously, those are kind of the big 3 names. And there's Louisville sitting kind of to the tail end of the schedule. That's, the toughest, numbers wise. But this is something that I was kind of saying, pre-season, but ahead of the season. I feel like if Miami can get it clicking, offensively, you have a veteran quarterback that you could argue is, the best quarterback in the conference, next to Drake May. You have that offensive line that Miami's, crafted. Mario Cristobal, Alex Mirabal, worked in the lab and, created these 5 monsters to come, block everybody up front. You have what you need to have a successful offense, a great offense line and a great quarterback. The wide receivers are doing their part. The running backs are doing their part. So just put that all together. That equals, great offense. And like you said, the numbers are looking in favor in Miami. And I feel like that's going to be in their advantage. Obviously, defense wins championships, but someone has to score the ball at the end of the day to win a game. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Miami's offense can continue producing at the level they're, going right now. I believe it's averaging 42 or 43 points per game right now, and it's looking really good. So, things are looking good for Miami and that offense, moving forward with the ACC schedule coming in.
You mentioned Florida State, and they're the highest ranked team, obviously, that Miami's got left to play. No doubt about that. But they gave up 305 passing yards and 152 rushing yards to Boston College. Okay. So that tells you right there, Boston College is okay. Their offense is nothing compared to what Shannon Dawson and the Miami Hurricanes have been putting on the field so far this year. So just on the face value there, Miami should be able to have some success moving the ball and scoring when the Canes go to Tallahassee in November. Clemson last weekend had 429 yards against the Noles, and LSU had 494. So these teams are putting up significant numbers against Florida State. So it's going to be really, really interesting when we get to that point in the season. But there's still a lot to do before that. So we're not proposing jumping ahead and thinking about Florida State, but it just shows you that if you're looking at that being the toughest game left on the schedule, that it is not a hopeless situation by any stretch of the imagination. That Florida State defense has proven here early this season that it can be had a little bit. So we got that to look forward to down the road. Okay, another analysis that Matt did is a look at the Miami offense in a little greater detail, which is performing at a rate of output that has not been seen at this program since 2002. How about that? It was 2002, the last time a Miami team scored 38 points in its first 4 games. Very impressive. You're seeing it one week with the run game, another week with the pass game. Miami is ranked number 8 in the nation right now with 519 yards a game of total offense. Izubee, you were an offensive superstar when you played over there in Fort Myers in high school. You didn't get the 5-star ranking and you didn't get the high offers, but you know a little bit about offense and putting up points and yardage, but even you got to be impressed with 500 and something yards per game and just the cleanness and the quality at which Miami's been playing offense so far this season.
Yeah, it's, that Miami offense, whether it's the Dolphins putting up 70 points and 700 yards, or the Hurricanes, doing their thing. The offensive coordinators and the offensive minds in Miami are clicking right now. And Shannon Dawson's doing an amazing job. He's coming in as advertised. We saw what he did in Houston with Tank Dell and all those guys, and making shifty little calls and things like that to get receivers open, scheming guys open, and making Tyler Van Dyke's job a lot easier. And kind of one thing I really do want to touch base on with the offense is kind of last year. We all remembered every time we go in the red zone, it's like, God, please, make something happen. Like, what is going to happen? I feel like now when we're in the red zone, I'm like, all right, which trick is, Shannon Dawson going to follow his bag now? And that's just it just feels good to feel like that. You're saying, Miami has an offensive coordinator that you go into a game confident with, that he's going to put up points, he's going to put up numbers, he's going to make it look fun and make it look appealing to the fans out there. So if I were to grade Shannon Dawson as a coordinator right now, you didn't ask that, but I'm giving him an A++++, like Steven gave to Jeremiah Smith.
You gotta like all those pluses after those A's. Another thing that we have on the website, that we will have on the website later today, with football being off, Jim Larinaga is taking the opportunity to kind of open the doors a little bit to the basketball program. We'll be speaking to him later today, plus some players, and we'll have that on the website later today. Also, be sure to tune in tonight at 8 o'clock for our latest edition of CaneSport Live. Izubee will be in studio with me. We'll be taking calls from fans across the Canes Nation. We welcome new callers. We want everyone to get involved in the show. Listen in tonight. Call in. Give us your viewpoints on what you think of the Miami Hurricanes season so far. And we'll have those links on the website later today. The show starts at 8 o'clock tonight. So that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. A little short and sweet today, but no shortage of significant stuff for you guys to check out on the website. If you're watching the show on YouTube, hit your subscribe and like buttons. It helps us with the algorithms. If you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please hustle on over to our website and become a member. I'll tell you, I was in Philadelphia this past weekend, had the chance to meet a lot of fans, a lot of members of our site, a lot of great people. We have a lot of really, really, really powerful fans that are on CaneSport.com every day, and we welcome anybody that's not yet a subscriber or /member to come on board with us as we move forward in this football season, and we try to enhance your fan experience. So for Stephen Wagner and Izubee Charles, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you so much for starting out your day with us once again. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.